The United States is one of the most, quote unquote, most powerful positions in the world. Okay, the world used.
How's everybody doing? Looking right here, Brandon. You know what? This show today that I'm doing this podcast, and you know what, man, people with the heavy response about Sanctuary City. But before we start give you a synopsis, what we're going to do is we're going to briefly talk about Mr. Kirk that got Charlie Kirk that got killed. Okay, so there will be violence for individuals that have different opinions, views. Okay, and secondly, we're going to talk about Sanctuary City. This is a big issue in Chicago. You know, I live in the Chicago area. I live in Chicago. And not only will this their presidents for what will be happening in New York and California. Also, these are the issues and the national guards. And you know what? But I'm going to start out with
Administration has filed a lawsuit against the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois over their sanctuary city policies. The lawsuit claims that these policies hinder federal efforts to enforce immigration laws. State and local laws limiting cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities are being challenged as unconstitutional. Chicago and Illinois officials defend their policies, stating they prioritize local resources for fighting crime while still complying with federal law. Please follow for more updates.
okay. And the thing is,
The Trump administration has filed a lawsuit against the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois
play
over
it one
their
more
sanctuary
time.
city policies. The lawsuit claims that these policies hinder federal efforts to enforce immigration laws. State and local laws limiting cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities are being challenged as unconstitutional. Chicago and Illinois officials defend their policies, stating they prioritize local resources for fighting crime while still complying with federal law. Please follow for more updates.
So the thing is, you know what, there is a immigration problem, and you know what, there are people that live, especially where I live in an African American community, and I'm sure other communities in Chicago that feel that this is unjust, this is wrong, and it even got to the point to where Illinois, Chicago, Illinois almost turned into a red state. Almost. Because where I live in Chicago, there were people that were protesting, they were mad, they were angry, they were upset that where do you find these resources? Where do you find this money at? Where do you find this money at all of a sudden? And there are people that there are people that are living on the streets right now in Chicago, and I'm sure New York, and they are upset because how are you finding all of these resources now? And the thing is, these people have been homeless for years. You have a group of people that are staying in hotels. Okay, some were staying in a police station. Okay, and they're very, very upset. And some of the aspects that are involved is they feel that this capital could have been utilized. I mean, you have veterans that are sleeping up underneath bridges. Okay. You have individuals that were staying in hotels And you had veterans that were sleeping up underneath bridges and not being able to get the resources that were necessary. Okay. And they felt it was very, very unfair. And thing is, it's it's pathetic. And you know what is that's not to say that you should not have sympathy. You should have sympathy for individuals that are fleeing countries like Venezuela, okay, who I think the president has a bounty on his head of $50 million and dictators. And this is wrong. This is wrong. And you know what? And I'm gonna show you how strongly, okay, people feel. Yeah, how are you doing, sister? Hello, Miss Denise. Miss Denise. Okay, I got a guest, and she's not put her on mute right now till I see her picture. I will do it again. Okay. And what happened is you have individuals that are going to be overburdened. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Denise. I can hear you.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, I was late. Jumping on here, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I just you invited me in. I just want to hear. There were some problems with the immigrants yesterday, and one getting killed in Franklin Park.
Mm-hmm.
So my what I was surprised at is that they said he had been here like 20 plus years. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but
But you know what? First of all, for people that are tuning in, this is my guest, and you know what? You're going to hear, I guess, a Democrat. I don't know if she classifies herself as a Democrat or liberal, and she will correct me. That's why I like talking to her. And you know what? Thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the Underground Railroad podcast. I appreciate it.
oh, you're welcome. Thanks for
Yeah,
the invite.
yes. And you know what, Miss Denise, I would like to ask you first of all, we started out talking about Charlie Kirk. Okay. For people that don't know who Charlie Kirk it was, he was a Republican. He was a Republican and he was a part of Mecca. Okay. And he died yesterday at Utah University, and they have not caught the individual that pulled the trigger. They have not done that. And I would like to ask you, what did you think about Charlie Kirk? Okay, he had thousands of people that followed him on his podcast. Okay, and what did you think about that incident? And do you think that you should be silenced by death because my ideology or my principles don't align with yours?
Charlie Kirk, a well-known conservative influencer, was just fatally shot during a packed town hall at Utah Valley University. Moments before the single shot rang out, Kirk posted a video tossing hats that read, "Make America Great Again," and 47 into the UVU crowd to kick off his American Comeback Tour in Orem, Utah. But who was Charlie Kirk, and how influential was he in the MAGA universe? Kirk, who was the CEO of the nonprofit Turning Point USA, rose to prominence on YouTube and on X, and became famous for his unapologetic and often boldly stated conservative opinions. The 31-year-old father boasted millions of followers and billions of views for videos in which he would engage in fiery debates with students, especially liberals, on college campuses. Some of his recent videos included Charlie Kirk hands out huge L's at University of California, San Diego.
A government-run program of education has been a failure in this country, and that's what President Trump is doing by abolishing the Department of Education.
And Charlie Kirk versus the Washington State woke mob.
Life should be the answer to rape, is what we're saying. And if a baby is conceived in rape, you don't all of a sudden say, let's do something more evil because something evil happened.
You know, I have several thoughts on it, but first let me say they did arrest someone. They have a young man, Tyler Robinson. I believe he's 22 years old.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, he's charged with the murder. You know, and it's funny because, well, they said that he was registered voter but not affiliated with either party. I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was. I heard people talk about. I got a couple of friends that follow a lot of social media pages, and they talked about, you know, all the negative stuff, you know, the spewing and the things were kind of mixed in with the politics. And so I started, you know, Googling them and looking at some of these things. I said, oh, yeah, I did see him because I did watch the Republican National Convention. I watched both of them. And he was a speaker. And so I guess he was the one that was getting out the young vote for the MAGAs and the, you know, calls himself a conservative Christian. You know, when you tie those two together and then you start your beliefs, you know, I don't believe that God believed, you know, I'm not that well versed on religion, but I do know God did not and does not separate people as, you know, you being over here and you being over here the way some conservatives do, especially the Christian. You know, I had to go and look up the word fascist.
Yes.
You know, to kind of get a better understanding of what they, you know, because I hear everybody say, oh, we're going to a fascist country, we're this and we're that. And when I read it, it does kind of all identify our current president. Unfortunate that he lost his life. I mean, horrific. I saw the video, saw all that. I heard the statements that he made that crime is necessary and it's almost like you were saying things that took your own life out of here. You know, you live by it, you die by it. You say he didn't believe in apathy. He thought that was a made up phrase. And, you know, so people were online saying, oh, don't show no apathy because he already said he didn't believe in that, you know. So unfortunate that this is a climate and of our country, you know, and they keep pointing back to I think the same day he died, they also had a shooting at a school again.
Yes.
Had a shooting, you know, where I think he's 14 or so years old.
Yes.
You know, and they say he got radicalized on some site. He went to school, had been to that school a couple of times, and they had, you know, removed him from class because he had ammo. I thought that was reason to remove him completely, take him somewhere else, not here. You keep, you know, letting him come back, and then he finally carried it out. Thank God the two that he shot didn't die. But, you know, this is the rhetoric, as they call it. You know, when he made comments, Black Lives Matter to him meant blues, losers, and murder. That's how he identified.
That's how he okay.
Yeah.
Do you happen to believe that, you know, we're living in a democratic society? Do you believe that it is warranted to kill or hurt somebody or do something heinous to someone because they have a different religious ideology or belong to a different party? And they vocally speak about it. He was gathering thousands. Do you happen to think that that was justified because you have a different view?
I don't think it was justified on the fact of his politics was different, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. But I think what he was saying race-wise and just as human nature, he was saying some bitter things. It's funny, you know, and the governor even said he was hoping it wasn't one of theirs. And everybody's like, you know, when they found out who was actually the killer. And it was like he was hoping it was, and what kind of statement is that? You would have preferred for it to have been someone out of the country or of another race. And then that really would have kicked off some stuff. That's what the governor said at a press conference. But I don't think it was based on the politics. he mixed it into politics, but this man mostly went out and spoke on uh, and just so many comments about African Americans, and I didn't understand it. You think that he said if he ever got on a plane and found out there was a black pilot, he had to, make sure this pilot was qualified to fly that plane. When you go and then you say that Ketanji, Michelle Obama, everyone that's in high positions were because of DEI. These people have law degrees. They went to Harvard, and here you are, a community college dropout, and you're doing all this, comparison or knocking down someone's ability. And I always said, I've been saying it, I don't know why they feel everything we get, we don't earn it, that it has to be handed to us because we're subpar, not on the level, educational or knowledge wise. And that's how it comes off at the DEI. It's like they were talking the other day about how many black women are unemployed now because they were let go because of DEI. And I'm like, really? So not based on their ability and the skills to do the job, but it's just assumed that they got it because they were a minority. It's something like taking the place of affirmative action. You come up with DEI. That's not the case. I've always kind of pushed back against that. Don't say we're not qualified mentally or, education wise, book wise, and that we get all of our stuff based on just because we were black.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And you know what? I'm going to play excerpts of. We can talk about sanctuary city because this is a pressing issue, not just in the African American community, but in Chicago, New York. And I'm going to play excerpts of what the president said about that. And I would like for you to respond to that. Okay? I would like for you to respond. What the president had things to say. And you know what? A lot of people didn't like it. It really didn't. So I'm going to play that.
The Trump administration has filed a lawsuit against the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois over their sanctuary city policies. The lawsuit claims that these policies hinder federal efforts to enforce immigration laws. State and local laws limiting cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities are being challenged as unconstitutional. Chicago and Illinois officials defend their policies, stating they prioritize local resources for fighting crime while still complying with federal law. Please follow for more updates.
Okay. And you know what, Mr. News, I would like to know what do you think about something, those statements that were made by President Trump?
I just think he's overstepping.
Do you? Let me rephrase it. Do you think that we are law-abiding citizens? Do you feel that President Trump's stance on sanctuary cities and even going to court is legitimate? Should federal laws be followed, or should it just be ignored?
You should go back to state laws. And I've always said that. We had that conversation. And
I'm sharing it with my audience. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should go back to state laws first. They supersede federal. That's what you have a governor for. They're sitting here that governs and other people, elected officials that make the laws for your particular state. When a president says that I'm pulling back all of my financial resources because we feel that the state should handle everything, but you turn around, you want to handle this.
Yes.
You can't pick and choose. Okay,
Yes.
either you're going to be all in and help us with the federal funds that, take care, not the immigrants or anything like a sanctuary, but other things that you're cutting. Or you just stay out of it and let us handle it totally. You're not giving us the money. And he's time after time said that I don't think federal government should be doing all this. And it's always economic with him. But now you want to come in and steal federal laws on how the state should run itself. You can't have it both ways. But I don't, you and I talked extensively about this.
Yes.
Yeah, it has gotten out of control. And I look at rest in peace to the guy that lost his life yesterday. If you've been here over 20 years and you did nothing to make yourself a citizen, just thinking I'm good. I've been here 5, 10, 15, 20. Now, it's coming back and it's just so much going on. I can be pros and cons on all of it. On them, a right to be here, a right not to be here. If you're not causing any, and of course, what they're trying to offset it with now. Well, he had a record, a traffic record. Okay, really, and that's grounds for you saying that he was violent or a criminal.
Okay.
Okay.
And as you make this statement, so therefore federal law should not be observed in Illinois, and I hate to bring in California and New York. They should be ignored. I'd like to ask you something. When you make such a profound statement like that, why? So you say it should not. So you say that you think that basically this is okay to take money, a capital that has been earmarked for citizens that live in Chicago, New York, and California, and give it to someone else that did not even follow the protocol to come into the country. You think that that's all right? Why? Tell me why.
Well, it's not the case of always giving them money. Some of them are coming here and being productive citizens. They're getting jobs. They're holding their own. Now you want to, like I said, when you pick and choose, he's just going straight across the board.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we don't know how our money is spent on until after the fact. These people in Springfield, they do all kind of laws, and they hide them in pork, whatever the word was, or where you slide this little. It's not as big as the one that they got out front to us, but there's other little laws that get funded that we have no knowledge of. So to get caught up, because I am a taxpayer.
Yeah.
But like I told you before, it doesn't consume me.
Yes.
As long as I'm able to go and get the resources that I need at a time that I ask for them, and my government say, okay, we got this. Now, if you tell me, well, I can't give it to you because I'm giving the X, Y, and Z, then I got a problem. But as long as I'm able to sustain myself, I can't just say, they don't deserve a penny. We get too tied up, and that's a big problem of ours when everything is surfaced and circled around money. There's a lot more out here that, money just, we put too much emphasis into it.
I'd like to know, do you acknowledge that there are immigrants that were staying in luxury hotels, getting room service, okay, and there are veterans that are sleeping up underneath bridges because they claim that there's not enough resources, but they found the resources. Can you expand on that?
Well, again, so veterans, there's a place for them. Some people don't like to go to the places that the government provide for them. They say, no, I'd rather stay out here. Now, what we were hit with the last 3 or so years was unprecedented, never happened. But people didn't like people laying out in the streets, and they had to step over them in the lobby of the police department, just filling it up. The police were very upset. I mean, and whoever staged this and knew it, they knew what they were doing. They did it for the purpose of helping this man get back in. Okay, let's flood all of it. Let's flood all other states. So they did the best that they could come up with. Our politicians. I don't knock it because, again, if I was in that situation and I was leading a city, mayor, or I'm like, what are my options? What can I do here? Can I send them over to Pacific Gardens, Michigan? By the way, I used to go there and eat when I was little.
Oh, wow.
My mother, we used to go right when it was on State Street.
That's in Chicago.
It was in the city of Chicago, right there on State Street. It used to be. They gave us meals. When we didn't have enough, my mother used to take us there to eat. And there was a lot of people. They're veterans and they're mentally ill. Don't leave them out just saying the veterans. They did serve our country. You got the mentally ill. A lot of them don't want to go. You go and take these encampments down because they just cleared one out the other day. And I saw one going up somewhere else on another viaduct.
You don't think it was somebody that was turned away because there was not enough resources and they gave it to someone that did not follow the protocol to come into the country? You don't think so?
I can't guess on how that and how they, determine who gets it and who doesn't.
Would that
I
be
don't know.
fair? Would that be fair? If you got turned away because there was not enough physical capital in the budget because it was given to somebody that did not follow the protocol to come into the country, would that be fair?
No, it wouldn't be fair. But again, we
Okay.
got to get off of this. You know, you come across to me as this is just a sticking point with you. It's done.
Oh,
It's in the past. How long will we keep it in the forefront? The mayor and the governor did what they felt at that time, what it called for to get these people off the streets and below zero. I remember going past 51st Street, that police district, that area, and people out there in them flimsy tents that you use for picnics in the summer, and it was cold. And I was like, man, so you know, the humanity side of it, you gotta, quit. I just don't like that everything being surfaced and built around money.
you know what, being a conservative talk host, I would like to say something. This is why Illinois, Chicago almost turned red. But you know what? But I love hearing different viewpoints because the world is not revolved around me. So going back to this, when we talk about this, so you feel is I would say a liberal or a Democrat or independent, you feel that Medicare and they should be able to, they should get Medicare, they should get Social Security, they should get all of these things, the people that came what your grandfather was doing. Any message for your grandchildren? Great.
Because I happen to have known someone who was in the NSA.
Okay.
All right? And they don't know what they'll know now. I've been in their building with him. Did you see it?
Yes, sir.
And they
Some people don't know what NSA is.
the National Security Administration. And when I walked up in there and seen that, it was like they got video screens. I mean, from here to 35th Street.
Those street cameras, right?
That was the screens like you watch on a computer.
Right.
All right. They got a room where they listen to conversations all around the country. All right. That's why I can say what I said. But they let me go because he was an important person, and they figured if he was pregnant, it was all right. All right. They made a mistake, but I never forgot that.
Well, wait a minute, wow.